Hello there. Welcome back to Tales from Tosche Station. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and get this started. Episode 7 happened. I mean, that's probably the most positive I'm going to be about this episode. Um it happened. It it did a thing, but overall this was a pretty weak episode in my opinion. Um I'll get into everything here in a minute, but yeah, episode 7 happened, and well, let's get into this thing. Hey, Chewie, do me a favor. Punch it. Let's go. Okay, so the episode opens on Brindok 16 years ago, and we find out that the planet itself is a Virgins in the Force, which is a nexus point of Force energy. And the Jedi are there looking for clues of the Virgins as to why the planet was lifeless 100 years ago during the great hyperspace disaster, and then all of a sudden life just sprung up. And in this part, we really get a little bit of a whiny Torben. He just wants to go home, and again, they've been on this mission for 7 weeks, so he's either got somebody back home the Jedi don't know about, or he just really, really, really misses those skyscrapers. Maybe it's level 1313. Honestly, I could see why you would miss 1313 because it's pretty rad down in that part of the city. So I get it. But anyways, let's keep going. So Indara tells Soul that she teaches Torben to look for answers himself rather than just giving them to him. As we then see Soul go to the Bunta tree, and we see the twins, and it's the same scene from the previous uh, flashback episode, just from Soul's point of view, and we see the mother Coral come in and catch the girls, and from Soul's point of view, she's a lot more aggressive, almost a little I would say demeaning, very the word that I'm trying to find is escaping me, but she's a lot more aggressive as Soul follows into the compound and starts to scale it. As we then see Mother Anastasia from again Soul's point of view, the last thing he sees in that scene is Mother Anastasia pushing them with the Force, the thread, whatever you want to call it. As he reports back to the Jedi saying that they're witches, as um, Torben thinks his Night Sisters, yada yada yada. Soul thinks that the girls are in danger, so they go take a look. And Kanaka slices the controls for the lift. They go up to confront the witches, and Anastasia invades Torben's mind. She's playing mind games with him, saying that she can help him get home. And I was getting a very like forbidden fruit, seductive vibe from this. It was a little weird, but it kind of sows the seeds for what happens earlier. I mean, what happens later. Um, as he comes out of it, Indara uh, they agree to train the girls, yada 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 yada. They go back to the ship, and Indara essentially says that was just a ploy to get them to essentially stand down. And Dara says the girls are too old for the test, and for some reason, Soul believes that May should be his Padawan. That's where we get his motivation from, and it's a little weird that he just all of a sudden just has this connection with this girl because he thinks that she's being mistreated or abused or what have you. Um, when they're still trying to figure out what's going on, as we then see May taking the test. May takes Torben takes May's blood. She gets the test wrong. As we see the rest, we then see the rest of the test with OSHA. Indara contacts the council for advice on what they need to do. The council says, "No, we can't take these kids. It's too much of a liability. It's too dangerous. They're too old." As and Indara tells Soul that he doesn't get to change OSHA's destiny because he thinks he knows what's best for her. As they get their metachlorine count, and it's revealed that their metachlorine count is the exact same, like the exact same. Even with twins, they should have essentially different scales on their metachlorine count. And the Jedi piece together that this is a big part of the episode, which I found interesting because this theory is one that I was thinking of from the beginning. That they theorized that the girls were created artificially using the dark side or power source, something strong enough to split a consciousness into two bodies, and that's how they were created. They were born as one, and then they were separated, which goes into the whole riddle of it all. That little nursery rhyme that they say. As we then cut to Coral telling May to get mad and tells her to stop OSHA from leaving. We then see the Covenant argue with Anastasia as she then just chooses to be a mother and suddenly respects OSHA's decision to leave, which, I mean, I get that, but it's just, this episode really just gets under my skin, so I'm just trying to get through this. But anyways, as we then see that May accidentally started the oil fire, and she was trying to put it out, and then it just unfortunately got out of control. As Sol and Torben attempt in their way of thinking, attempt to help, and everything kind of goes off the rails from here. Sol asks how the twins were made, as Anastasia says that their noble intentions that they have will eventually lead to the fall of the Jedi, and this is a weird part because May runs out. Sol thinks it's OSHA, or at least I think he does, and Anastasia starts to turn into some black smoke demonic creature thing, and the camera pans to May, and we see that she's starting to become the same kind of smoke, and then Soul kills her, just stabs her and kills her, which is that's weird because she's turning into black smoke. Let me stab her. Like, you don't know what she was doing there, man. Maybe she could have been protecting May or trying to get her out of the way of this whole situation. Maybe she was trying to possess her body. I don't know, but it was a little weird that Soul just stabbed. So Torben deflects the arrows from the other witches as Coral and Soul get into it. Soul's essentially dodging all of her attacks, not trying to get beat up, and then the witches disappear as they possess Konaka, and he attacks Torben and Soul. Konaka force pushes Torben as we see him use his claws, making him in Wookiee culture a mad claw. Essentially using when Wookiees use their claws, they're not supposed to use them for attack or defense. They're just climbing. So in Wookiee culture, that's called a mad claw when a Wookiee uses their claws for attack, and that's why he exiles himself. So Soul Soul breaks Torben free as he disarms Kelnaka. Indara comes in, forces the witches out of Kelnaka's head. As we then see what actually happened on the bridge, or at least assuming what happened on the bridge. Soul tries to hold the bridge up and makes the choice to save Osha, and May drops. We don't see where she lands. Maybe Coral's down there because Coral disappears and we don't see her for the rest of the episode. So we don't know what happens to her. So May falls as they leave, and Indara initiates the lie that May started the fire. It got out of control, and everybody died. As Soul says they need to tell the council, and she tells him, "Are you crazy? Because after all that girl lost, you want to take her dream away too?" And then he goes to tell Osha, and then the episode just kind of abruptly just ends. I've got some serious issues with the pacing of this episode, how they went about explaining a lot of the different things. Torben's motivation of these girls are the virgins. If we prove this, we can go home. Like, dude, no. Like, that's not. I'm trying not to be too negative here, but I think this is where they officially lost to me. This whole thing has been about we get to see everything from the view of the Sith, and we really haven't got that. We've only got like maybe 2 episodes of that with Chimera, with the Stranger, and for a show that was touted as we're seeing things from the bad guy's perspective, it hasn't really been like that. We haven't seen a lot of things from the bad guy's perspective. I mean, yes, we're following May the first couple episodes, and we get to see a little bit of her backstory. But the thing that gets me is they shouldn't have done the flashback episodes the way they did, because it really just kills the pacing. Both episodes just kind of killed whatever momentum that the show had at the time. And it was just a really poorly written episode. I mean, we still don't know how the twins were split in two. I mean, yeah, we know there are virgins and they were one being, but how? So that's another question that needs to get answered next week. And also something else that got under my skin is Leslie Headland came out and essentially explained offhandedly in interviews this week about like what's supposed to happen in the episode. And if you have to do that as a director, as a creator, then you're not putting a good product out there. Do a better job of explaining your point and getting the narrative across that you're trying to get across, because it's honestly confusing, and I don't see how they land this next week. I don't unless we get like an hour long episode, or 45 minutes or something like that. It's just a long episode. They've got a lot of leg work to do with one episode to go. And if they do green like this for a second season, I'll be honest with you, I don't see how that happens. Um, this I said it before. This series has been up and down. I would say it's akin to a roller coaster. The narrative's all over the place. It's really hard to understand people's motivations. And honestly, I don't who are we supposed to root for next week? Because because everybody's in the wrong here. Everybody. So I don't know. It's frustrating, and I hope we see Tenebris next week or something to just give fans some semblance of hope. But yeah, overall thoughts on the episode, I didn't like it. It was a jumbled mess, and I'm sorry for being negative. I'm not usually negative on my show, so I apologize. It's just frustrating when a show's this up and down. So see what happens next week, guys. So till next week, may the force be with you.